back to my ASMR channel. Today I'm going to be doing another reading video for you guys today. Unlike my other two previous videos, I'm going to be reading a physical book for you guys today. The book that I'll be reading to you guys this afternoon is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is from the Folk of the Air series, which is Girl Prince and Wicked King. Those are the previous two, so this is the third book of the trilogy. And with this book today, I have some paper tabs. They're sushi themed. I thought they were really cute, in case I want to mark anything while I'm reading. And of course, my candle, as well as, you guys can't see it, but I have an iced matcha latte as well. Very good. Today, unlike my previous videos, I'm gonna just be picking up where I left off in this book, because I have already been reading in this book, so I hope you guys don't mind. I can hear the school bus outside. I hope it's not too loud. So, I also really love the sounds that paper books make, like, not Kindles, not like physical books make. I think that it's like that unintentional ASMR kind of feeling. Okay, I just want to do some tapping. So I think this is the page I left off on. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't picked up this book in quite a while, so I might have to kind of reorient myself while I'm reading. So we'll be starting on page 78. She leads me through the camp, past a group of trolls skinning a moose, past elves and goblins singing war songs, past a tailor repairing a pile of hide armor before a fire. In the distance, I hear the clang of steel, raised voices, and animal sounds. The air is thick with smoke, and the ground is muddy from trampling boots and snowmelt. Disoriented, I focus on not losing Oriana in the throng. Finally, we come to a large but practical-looking tent, with a pair of sturdy wooden chairs in front of both, covered in sheepskin. My gaze is drawn to an elaborate pavilion nearby. It sits off the ground on golden-clawed feet, looking for all the world, as though it could scuttle off and its owner gave the command. As I stare, Crimson steps out. Crimson the smith, who created the blood crown, and many more artifacts of fairy, yet hungers for greater and greater fame. He's arrayed so finely that he might be a prince himself. When he sees me, he gives me a sly look. I avert my eyes. I've gotta be honest. I spy crew that she was. I can't remember. I'm really bad with remembering plots. But the one thing I'm certain of is that Carden knows that it's her as soon as he sees her. But her father is like going out basically into war with them. And so she gets taken away by her father and like his court, like somewhere. And that's where I think I am now. Because they still think that is her name Darren? I can't remember. The inside of Maddox and Oriana's tent reminds me uncomfortably of home. A corner of its works as a makeshift kitchen where dried herbs hang in garlands beside dried sausages and butter and cheese. You can have a bath, Oriana says, indicating a copper tub in another corner, half filled with snow. We place a metal bar on the fire, then plunge it into the melt, and everything heats up swiftly enough. I shake my head, thinking of how I need to continue to hide my hands, at least in this cold. It will be no surprise for me to keep my gloves on. I just want to wash my face, and maybe put on some warmer clothes. Of course, she says, and bustles around the small space to gather up a sturdy blue dress, some hose, and boots. She goes out and comes back. After a few minutes, a servant arrives with steaming water in a bowl and places it on a table, along with cloth. The water is scented with juniper. I will leave you to freshen up, Oriana says, putting on a cloak. Tonight we dine with the Court of Teeth. I don't mean to inconvenience you, I say, awkward in the face of her kindness, knowing that it isn't for me. She smiles and touches my cheek. You're a good girl, she says. Makes me flash with embarrassment. I am never that. Still, when she is gone, I am glad to be alone. I snoop around the tent but find no maps or battle plans. I eat a little cheese, wash my face and bits and everywhere else I can't reach, then rinse my mouth with a little peppermint oil and scrape my tongue. Finally, I put on the new, heavier, warmer clothes and rebraid my hair simply into 2 tight plaits. I replace my velvet gloves with woolen ones, checking to make sure the stuffing at the tip of my fingers looks convincing. Oh yeah, isn't she missing a finger or something? I can't remember. I think this, by the time I'm done, Oriana has returned. She has brought with her several soldiers carrying a pallet of furs and blanket, which she has them arranged into a bed for me, curtained with the screen. I think this will do for now, she says, looking at me for confirmation. I swallow the urge to thank her. Whoops, my mic is weird. Better than I have asked. As the soldiers depart, I follow them through the tent flap. Outside, I orient myself by the sun as it's about to set, looking over the sea of the tents again. I am able to pick out factions, Maddox people flying his sigil, the crescent moon turned like a bowl. Those from the Court of Teeth have their tents marked with a device that seems to suggest an ominous mountain range, and 2 or 3 other courts, either smaller ones, that sent fewer soldiers, a whole host of other traitors, Grima Mog says. I can't help but think that the spy that I was, cannot help but see that I am perfectly positioned to discover Maddox's plan. I am in his camp, in his very tent. I could uncover everything. But that's absolute madness. How long before Oriana or Maddox realizes that I am Jude and not Darren? Remember the vow Maddox made to me, and when I best you, I'll make sure I do it as thoroughly as I would any opponent who has shown themselves to be my equal. It was a backhand compliment, but it was also also a straightforward threat. I know exactly what Maddox does to his enemies. He kills them and then washes his cap in their blood. And what does it matter? I'm in exile, pushed out. But if I had Maddox's plans, I could trade them for the end of my exile. Surely Carden would agree to that. If I gave him the means to save Elfame. Unless, of course, he thought I was lying. Vivi would say I ought to stop worrying about kings and wars and worry instead about getting home. After my fight with Grandma Mog, I could demand better jobs from Byron. Vivi is right that if we gave up the pretense of living like other humans, we could have a much bigger place. And give the results of the inquest, Darren probably can't return to Fairy. I don't know. At least until Maddox takes over. I'm gonna try something really quickly. I was just kind of playing with the mic with my Apple Pencil, and I hope that didn't sound bad. I wonder if it sounds good. You guys will have to let me know. Maybe I should just let it happen, but that brings me to things I cannot get past, even though it's ridiculous. I cannot stop the anger that rises in me, lighting a fire in my heart. I am the queen of Elfame. Even though I am the queen in exile, I am still the queen. And that means Maddox isn't trying to take Carden's throne. He's trying to take mine. Okay, now we're on chapter 9. This book reads pretty smoothly. That's why I really like Holly Black's writing. Because it's simple and easy to digest, but it's also not childish. Like, it's YA, but for adults. And it's not written like it was made for, like, a middle schooler. Like, it's very neutral on what age the audience is, which I appreciate. Because I have a few books that I read when I was younger, like, that I just can't read now because they just seem a little just written for children. But that's not a bad thing. But I enjoy how quickly this reads, but it's also not like it's not dumbed down or anything. She doesn't think like her audience is stupid. My nose keeps running. I'm gonna have a sip of my latte really quickly. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember who the Court of Teeth are. It's like the evil people, I'm pretty sure, but like, I can't remember if they were talked about in the previous books or not. It's been so long. I'm bad about remembering things in books. I need to start doing like a journal or something. We dine in the tent of the Court of Teeth, which is easily 3 times the size of Maddox and decorated as elaborately as any palace. The floor is covered in rugs and furs. Lamps hang from the ceiling, and fat pillar candles burn atop tables beside decanters of some pale libation and bowls of frost-covered white berries in a type I have never seen before. A harpist plays in the corner, the strains of her music carrying through the buzz of conversation. At the center of the tent rest 3 thrones, 2 large and 1 small. They seem to be sculptures of ice, with flowers and leaves frozen inside of them. The large thrones are unoccupied, but a blue-skinned girl sits on the small one. A crown of icicles on her head and a golden bridle around her mouth and throat. She looks to be only a year or 2 older than Oak and is dressed in a column of gray silk. If she is the princess, then it's not hard to pick out the king and queen. They wear even more elaborate icicle crowns. Their skin is gray, the color of stone or corpses. Their eyes are bright and clear yellow like wine. Ew! I don't like that. It's giving jaundice. And their garments are blue of her skin, a matching trio. This is Lady Nor and Lord Gerald and their daughter, Queen Surin. Queen! Oriana says to me quietly, so the little girl is a ruler. Unfortunately, Lady Nor notices my staring. A mortal, she says, with familiar contempt. Whatever for? Maddox shorts an apologetic look in my direction. Allow me to present one of my foster daughters. Taryn, I am sure I mentioned her. Perhaps, says Lord Gerald, joining us. His gaze intense the way an owl might look at a misguided mouse climbing directly onto its nests. I give my best curtsy. I'm glad to have a place at your hearth tonight. He turns his cold gaze on Maddox, diverting. It speaks as though it thinks it's one of us. Gosh, they're rude. I forgot how it felt. All of those years of being utterly powerless. Having Maddox alone for protection, and now that protection depends on his not guessing which of his daughters stands beside him. I look up at Lord Gerald with fear in my eyes, a fear I don't have to fake, and I hate how obviously it pleases him. I think of the Bob's words about the court of teeth to her and the roach. The court carved us up and filled us full of curses and kiosses. I think it's kiosks. Charged us, forced us to serve them. I remind myself, I am no longer the girl I was before. I might be surrounded, but that doesn't mean I'm powerless. I vow that one day it is Lord Gerald who will be afraid. But for now, I edge myself toward a corner where I sit on a hide-covered tuffet and survey the room. I recall the living council warning that the courts were evading swirly fealty by hiding their children as changelings in the mortal world, then elevating them to rulers. I wonder if that's what happened here. If so, it must gall Lord Gerald and Lady Nor. If that's what's happened, to give up their titles and make them nervous enough to bridle her. Interesting to see their ostentations on display, their crowns and their thrones and their luxurious tents as they support Maddox's bid to elevate himself to High King, which would put him far above them. I don't buy it. They might back him now, but I bet they hope to eliminate him later. It is then that Crimson entered the tent wearing a scarlet cloak with an enormous pin the shape of a metal and blown glass heart that seems to beat. Lady Nor and Lord Gerald turn their attention to him, their stiff faces moving to chilly smiles. I look over at Maddox. He appears less pleased to see the smith. After a few pleasantries, Lady Nor and Lord Gerald usher us to the table. Lady Nor leads Queen Surin by her bridle as the child queen is led to the table. I notice that the straps sit oddly against her skin as though they have partially sunken into it. Something in the shimmer of leather makes me think of enchantment. I wonder if this horrible thing is Crimson's work. Seeing her bound, I can't help but think about Oak. I glance at Oriana, wondering if she's reminded of him too. But her expression is as calm and remote as the surface of a frozen lake. whispers to my earlobes. Your work is exquisite, I tell him, knowing how fond he is of flattery. He gives me an admiring look that I suspect is pride in his own art. If he finds me pretty, it's a compliment to his craft. But it's also to my advantage to keep him talking. No one else here is likely to tell me much. I try to imagine what Darren might say, but all I could come up with is more of what I think Crimson wants to hear. I drop my voice to a whisper. I can hardly bear to take them off, even at night. He preens. Mere trinkets. You must think I'm very silly, I say. I know that you have made far greater things, but these have made me very happy. Oriana gives me an odd look. Did I make a mistake? Does she suspect me? My heart speeds. You ought to visit my porch, Crimson says. Allow me to show you what truly potent magic looks like. I should like that very much, I manage, but I am distracted with worry over being caught and frustrated by the smith's invitation. If only he'd be willing to brag here tonight, instead of setting up some I don't want to go to his forge. I want to get out of this camp. It is only a matter of time before I am caught. If I am to learn anything, I want to do it quickly. My frustration mounts as further conversation is cut off by the arrival of servants bringing dinner, which turns out to be a massive cut of roasted bear meat served with cloudberries. One of the soldiers draws Crimson into a discussion about his brooch. Beside me, Oriana is speaking of a poem I don't know to a courtier from the Court of Teeth. Left to myself, I concentrate on picking out the voices of Maddox and Lady Norm. They are debating which courts can be brought over to their side. Have you spoken with the Court of Termites? Maddox nods. Lord Ryben is worth with the Underseas, and he cannot like that the High King denied him of his revenge. My fingers clench on my knife. I made a deal with Ryben. I killed Belkin to honor it. That was Carden's excuse for exiling me. It's a bitter drop to consider that after all that, Lord Ryben might prefer to join with Maddox. But whatever Lord Ryben wants, he's still sworn an oath of loyalty to the Blood Crown. And while some courts, like the Court of Teeth, may have schemed their way free of their ancestors' promises, most are still bound by them, including Ryben. So how does Maddox think he's going to dissolve those bounds? Without some means of doing that, does it matter whom the low courts prefer? They must follow the only ruler with the blood crown on his head, High King Carden. But since Carden would say none of that, I bite my tongue as the conversation swirl around me. Later, back at our tent, I carry pitchers of honey wine and refill the cups of Maddox generals. I am not particularly memorable, merely Maddox's human daughter, someone most of them had met in guessing and thought little upon. Oriana gives me no more odd looks. It's not gonna work. Oriana gives me no more odd looks. If she thought my behavior was Crimson was strange, I don't think I have given her further reason to doubt me. I feel the gravitational pull of my old role, the ease of it, ready to enfold me like a heavy blanket. Tonight it seems impossible that I was ever anyone other than this dutiful child. When I go to sleep, it is with bitterness in my throat, one I haven't felt in a long time.